Hello, welcome to Attorney Cheng Broadcasting. My name is Shaoming Cheng. I'm attorney licensed in the state of Virginia. Today is July 17th, 2018. Today I'm going to talk about adultery cases. Recently, I have a client visit me and told me that her husband confessed to him that he had an extramarital affair with his colleague. Both of them are Chinese immigrants. They've been here for almost 20 years. The husband is a computer engineer. The wife is a CPA working for a local accounting firm. They have relatively good life, make relatively good income. But one day, the husband told the wife that he had an affair with his colleague, and now the colleague's pregnant, and he feel very sorry. So the wife came to my office and asked what are her options. So when it's very unfortunate when a person encountered such a situation, and adultery or infidelity will trigger a couple of legal issues. The first one is, criminal issues. First of all, the family law of adultery, you really need to consult the attorneys at your state, at your local jurisdiction. But many states, still, I think more than half of the states will, adultery still is a criminal offense. So, for example, in state of Virginia, where I'm located, adultery is a class 4 misdemeanor. So it has a criminal penalty with a fine of $250. Even though it's very rare that adultery being prosecuted in the Commonwealth of Virginia. The next issue it will trigger is that whether adultery can be used as a ground for divorce, and it also depends on the states. Somebody told me that in state of California, that adultery even cannot be used as a ground for divorce. But in state of Virginia, I think based on Virginia Code 20-91.1, adultery can be used as a ground for divorce, and but the court requires clear and convincing evidence, which means that normally you have to prove that you either personally observed, you came home, a husband or wife came home and want to give the other spouse a surprise, and then find the spouse laying with a third party in the bedroom. That's it's direct evidence. Or you can use indirect evidence, which is that the private investigator find that your spouse went to a hotel room with a third party and stayed there overnight, and then that could be used as the evidence to prove that your husband or your wife, your spouse commit adultery. But anyway, in state of Virginia, adultery can be used as a ground for divorce. The third issue is that whether it's possible you can sue the third party because of the adultery. There are two grounds normally being used. One is called alienation of affection. That's one ground. The second ground is called intentional infliction of emotional distress. But it really depends on the states where you reside. But for the state of Virginia, unfortunately, you cannot use alienation. You cannot sue the third party for alienation of affection or intentional infliction of emotional distress. So those two cause of actions have been rejected by Virginia Supreme Court. So you cannot bring torts against the third party for adultery. But there's one way to seek, basically seek some kind of um, you know, um, monetary or financial compensation in the form of when you in the form of property division. So, for example, if you um, prove to the court, you can prove to the court that one party, your spouse, commit adultery, and then in the equitable distribution in the state of Virginia, because in the state of Virginia, there are, when you divide the properties, there are many factors to be considered. One important factor to consider is whether the contribution made by each party to the marriage, and of course, adultery is a good evidence that you did not bring anything to the marriage. Actually, you are the person that person actually destroyed the marriage. So that will lead the court is possibly to lead the court to rule in favor of the party that who is the victim of the adultery case. So my advice is that any person encountered a similar situation, then you have to consult a local, you have to consult attorney. And also, it's very important that you need to have very good evidence, very clear evidence to show to the court that actually adultery happened. A mere suspicion or mere like, why my spouse spent a lot of time with another a third party, or my spouse come home very late. All that is not sufficient. You have to prove to the court that your spouse had sexual relationship with third party. That it's not easy to prove, but if you wanted to take any legal action based on adultery, then you should have very, very good evidence to prove that. This is today's broadcasting. Thank you for watching. Have a great evening. Thank you. Bye.